What's up, Facebook family? This is Pastor Sam White coming to you with what I like to call a series called A Necessary Conversation. I'm excited to have one of my favorite people, my cousin, who is just an awesome person who has awesome expertise around the areas of finances, budgeting, savings. She is absolutely phenomenal. She's going to join us tonight for this conversation. She's going to give us some amazing tips, tricks, tools, and resources to help us budget for success. She's going to answer all the questions, any questions that you have that's going to help you meet some of these goals that you have for this new year. I know you have some. I know you set some financial goals for 2021. And so in just a second, she's going to join us. I just want you to know she's an educator for over 15 years. She attended the University of West Florida. She got a bachelor's in science and accounting. She has a master and a specialist in education. Originally from Baldwin County, Alabama, she has one daughter named Kenosha. We call her Coco. And she is a new grandmother. You can call her granny, grandma, Mima, anything like that. That's wonderful. And her granddaughter's name is Kirsten. I have a little country accent, so I probably don't say that properly, but it's Kirsten is her name. She loves to cook, travel, read, and management is her forte. She says management, my money. We just checked this for grammatical errors, and we both missed that. So I'm excited to have my cousin joining me, Miss Tyranay Porter. Tyranay is here with us now. Cuz, can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay, so thank you for joining us for this important conversation. So many folks go into the new year, and it's important for them to have budgets and have all of those things. So we want to jump into that conversation. There's a lot of great information that I know you have ready for them. But first, just tell us a little bit about yourself. Why is this topic, so exciting and important for you? This is something you love to talk about. You come alive when you talk about it. So talk to us a little bit about why this is something you love.
Well, let me tell you, I hadn't always been a budgeter. I hadn't always managed my money. So I get excited because now I manage it better. I budget my money better. I'm paying off debt. So I get so excited. When I'm in a classroom, I'm always so excited when we get on this topic, and the kids know it because I walk around and I smile and I laugh. I share stories of things that happened to me, that happened to friends, and they listen and they love it also. But I just love it because I hadn't always been here because I had how many credit cards and just doing all this crazy stuff. And here I go sitting up in a classroom teaching this. And I'm like, hold up, how I'm teaching this and I'm in debt? I was like, no, this got to stop right here. So I enjoy it because now not only do I teach it, I'm teaching it, I'm doing it, I'm following it, and it just feels amazing.
And I think it's important to have you talking to us because it lets folks know that you don't have to be like rich or a millionaire to be able to accomplish some of these goals. We got a real live person who's just like us, who said they came to a certain point in their life that says, let me get this under control. And you did that. And so I'm excited to learn about what you did, because I know I joke with you sometimes during some parts of the year. I'll be like, how many jobs you got? Like, what are you doing? You be like, I got to tackle this debt. I got to get out of this debt. And, you be like, so it's exciting. We're going to talk about some of those things. First things first, budgeting for success. What is a budget, and why is having a budget important?
Okay. Well, a budget is just basically how you spend your money. It's a plan, how you're going to spend your money. Okay. You should do that just so you know where your money is spent. You should know how much money you're earning. It helps you take control of your money. It helps you be in charge of your money. And also it helps you set financial goals. Okay. without a budget, you may not be able to set some of the goals like investing, saving for big purchases, vacations, etc. It also helps reduce stress because we know, when our paycheck is this much and we trying to stretch it, that causes unnecessary stretch. Maybe we can, throw away some blood pressure pills or something like that. It also helps us get out of debt.
I'm so glad you said that. The connection between financial difficulty and stress, I don't think people understand how big that is.
Yeah.
I think in a previous job that I had, I literally was living paycheck to paycheck. And during that same time, my health was drastically impacted. My blood pressure was, every time I went to the doctor, it was through the roof. And even if I ate right, even if I was getting some activity and going to the gym, now I do know genetically I'm an African American male who's a heavier guy, and so my blood pressure is kind of predisposed to be a little higher. But I knew it was the stress of wondering if I was going to be able to cover everything this month. And so at that particular time, I had no budget. I was not budgeting money at all, and I was about to lose. I thought I was going to end up in the ER. Like it was that serious. So I'm glad that you talk about the link between stress levels and how a budget may actually improve the quality of your health when you're not stressing over your finances.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's big. That's big. So when we jump in and we start talking about this budget stuff, and I want everybody who's watching us, I know we got a few people watching us now, feel free to chime in the chats. You already are. If you have any questions, if you want to amen something that we're saying, we want to hear from you. We want to answer those questions. If you also have any tips or tricks or tools or resources, if there's an app you use, a website you use to help manage your budget, let us know. We want to make sure that we can be a resource to others who may be watching us. So you talk about a budget, tracking all of your expenses. You talk about why it's important. But in my previous job, I go back to that. I told you I was living paycheck to paycheck. I didn't feel like I made enough money to actually budget. Like, what do you say to somebody who says, I don't really have enough extra income for a budget? Everything I have is accounted for. It goes to bills.
Well, Sam, whatever you have is enough. You don't have to make a certain dollar amount on your paycheck to set a budget. You don't have to be in a certain amount of debt. You don't have to be in a certain situation to budget. So whatever you make right now, whether you're in high school, college, in your career, retired, you still can budget what you have.
Okay. That's good. Budget what I have. So when we talk about budgeting, I think savings, and we're going to have another conversation next month talking about saving for the future. But most people who have a budget, a part of their budget is also savings. And when I'm talking about not having very much income, help me understand, how do I pay off debt? And how do I save? How do I, like, you're talking about creating a budget, but if I don't have the money, how can I pay off debt? How can I save? Or, what do I do with that?
Okay, well, if you feel that your paycheck is maxed out, and I'm sure everybody has been in a situation where they feel like, oh, you know what, I have stretched this paycheck, as much as I can. I have trimmed my budget as much as I can, and you still don't feel like it's enough. Sometimes you may have to see if you can increase your income. Maybe work a part-time job, maybe work some overtime at your current job. I know a lot of times, some of you may have companies that don't offer overtime, which my company doesn't offer overtime, but I pick up little jobs like I'll administer the ACT test on a Saturday. That pays. I do little things like that. I work football games. That was paid. So I picked up little jobs like that.
You done worked at Target. I'm about to name all your jobs. You done worked at Target. You be like, oh, I'm teaching an online class. I'd be like, where do you get these jobs from? Like, what is going on with you?
Well, let me say this now. Now, early on, when I was doing a lot of the part-time jobs, like the little jobs at my main job teaching, that's when my daughter was smaller. And then as she got older in high school, I got me a part-time job at Target for a year and a half. And after that, I started teaching at a community college, which that just kind of, the way that lined up was just perfect. And
How helpful, be real with us, how helpful were these small part-time jobs, this extra, how helpful was that with your budget?
You know what, Sam? Some people may say, you know what, I only made $200. When I work ACT, it's $133 for a Saturday. But guess what? That money adds up. It will add up. So even if it's $133, even if it's $50, even if it's whatever, it will add up. So when you're paying off debt, when you're making a budget, you're trying to get in a certain financial situation, you got these goals, just keep doing those little things because it does add up. And yeah, I do have 4 jobs.
Oh Lord.
But it's and I know some of you are like, I can't do that. I have kids, I have this and I have that. Well, let me say this, the college course that I teach this semester, it's actually a hybrid. So I'm going to be at home most of the time. There are a lot of companies out there that offer at home employment right now, especially with the pandemic. So check out, working from home jobs that allows you to stay home, still be there with the kids and the rest of your family. And like I said, check with your current job to see if there's maybe some overtime that you can pick up, or maybe there's other jobs that you can do as well. What's my other job? Oh, I'm a landlord. I had to think of my other one. And I do taxes too during tax season. So that may be.
Yeah, you got like 8 jobs. You said 4, but you got like 12. I'm throwing a question up from your daughter. Your daughter wants to know, where do you start first in starting a budget or start saving?
If you just start by writing it down. You don't have to have an app. You don't have to have a software program to do a budget. You can just have a notebook. Notebook costs about $1 at the dollar store. Get you a notebook. Just write down your pay periods, what bills you need to pay. You may pay like your first paycheck if you're paid bi-weekly. You may pay the rent. You may pay, power bill, water bill, groceries, gas. The second paycheck, you may pay car insurance. What else? Cable, internet. So just write it on notebook paper. That's how I started years ago. When I worked at Regions Bank, I used to write down in a notebook. That's what I did for years. And then I got all fancy, y'all. And then I got me a little budgeting form that I created. And I would take it and I put it in a binder. And I had a budgeting binder. So every month I would fill out my budget. And it was in my binder. And I had to throw away and shred some papers because I looked at it one day and I was like, why am I still keeping this? I had it for like 5 years straight, but I just kept it there. I would go back and look at previous months just to kind of reflect or see, okay, what kind of new goals am I going to set? What I'm going to do differently. I just go back and I used to reflect, but I don't do the paper anymore.
I will say this for folks who are at all technologically savvy, this little device right here is really the world in your pocket. And many of the apps, and we're going to talk about some resources later, are free. They actually don't cost anything. They're cheaper than the 99-cent notebook. And like I said, we'll get into this a little later. But I recently downloaded one of those and spent some of yesterday and some of today loading up linking accounts and connecting bills and categorizing different things. And I'm excited about how helpful that I know this is going to be. I do want to throw up this comment here from my brother from another mother, Kenneth Sleets. Kenny says, also call your creditors and tell them this is all I can pay you now. You'd be surprised how many will work with you. So how important is it for really understanding your debt when you are in the process of budgeting and doing exactly what Kenny said, communicating with those creditors or those folks who hold your debt to say, hey, what programs are available? How can you help me through this process?
Well, debt is something that you definitely need to look at when you're setting a budget. So make sure when you make your budget, you list all of your debt, you get your balances. So if you need to call or go online to find out what your balance is. And when you're trying to pay that debt off, I encourage you to start with the smallest debt and then work your way to the largest debt. Call those creditors, like Kenny said, and see if they'll settle, because a lot of times they will settle with you. If you owe $525, they may settle for $400 or $450. So always call and see if they'll settle, because 9 times out of 10 they will.
Yeah, I want to add to that especially during this season of COVID or pandemic, a lot of creditors are implementing programs that's helping people manage their debt during this process. Some people are waiving interest rates for a certain period of time. And if that's the case, that gives you a period to pay off that debt and without having to pay interest on it. If you have cards that are no longer, that may be maxed out, but they're not closed accounts, or maybe they are closed accounts, some creditors like Chase will negotiate with you to keep it from going to collections or anything else. They will waive all of the interest and put you on a plan to pay all of that debt, to pay that debt off over time. And so there almost every credit card company has some type of program to help people with hardships, to help people pay off that or eliminate that debt, especially if it's debt that they can't handle anymore. So I just wanted to let folks know you got to communicate with these folks. Michelle Green, deaconess from our church family here, First Iconium in Atlanta, says, what is a good amount to start saving on a weekly basis? I've heard people say you take your check and you split it like this. You give 10 to God, you give 10% to yourself in savings, and then you live off the other 80. Talk to us about savings, briefly about saving strategies as it's connected to the budget.
Well, I think you should save a certain percentage of your paycheck, not a set amount like, $20, $100. I think you should do a percentage of your paycheck. That way, if you have maybe next month, your paycheck may be a lot more than it was this month. If you're saving a percentage, that percentage will go up. So if you're saving, just like $50 and you have a really good check and you save $50, it's going to be the same. But I think a percentage is good, whether it's 10%, 20%. I save 20% each month, but that's, going to depend on you and your situation. But a percentage is definitely what I suggest.
Okay.
At least 10%.
I gotta look over this statement that Shamika Brock posted.
That's my good friend.
So Shamika says we may think we don't have enough when it comes to budgeting. Look at your monthly bank statements for a month or two and just see what things really could be cut out temporarily. I'm going to take the post down. This gets to one of the subjects that we plan to talk about. What can I cut out? I think I'm already doing the bare minimum. What can I cut out?
Well, you just got to look at your budget and see what things are not necessary. First of all, on your budget, you need to have at the top of your budget the things that come first, such as your tithing and your savings. Those should always be at the top of your budget. After that, of course, you got your housing because you got to pay your rent or your mortgage. You got your utilities, your power bill, your water bill, things like that. You have your transportation because we got to go to work, make this money so we can stay on this budget, pay off this debt. And you got to have food. We got to eat. You got to take care of those basic necessities like for your kids, but make sure you do that first and then see how much money you have, see what you have left. Okay. Now look at things that you don't need. Cable. I know a lot of people don't have cable anymore. Me personally, I don't either, but cable bills can be up to like $100. Yeah, that's right. You don't either. So see how you can either trim, cut back on your cable, maybe cut out some things that you don't watch to get that bill down or cancel it all together. There's how many streaming services out there?
There's tons of streaming services. At one point, I was paying right at or just above $100 a month for cable. Right now, if you add the three streaming services that I use together, it may be $30 or at the most $35 or something. That's $65 worth of savings. You were just telling me about a $20 app that you have that gives you over 100 channels.
No, 60 channels actually. It's Philo, 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 and it's $20 a month, and I get 60 channels. And of course, depending on what you like, but I'm pretty basic. I don't watch a whole lot of TV anyway, but it got my Discovery ID channel, which I love. It got the Oprah Winfrey Network. It has A&E, Lifetime, so I'm good with that.
So you think about that. That's anywhere from $65 to $100 a month that you're saving. That can help make a huge dent in debt or add to your savings for other goals that you have for the year. That's one bill. A lot of people don't know this. Again, we're in budgeting and savings works together. So some of this we might be talking about again in a month. A lot of people don't know this, but for those of you who are on a contract with your cell phone and you have not changed your plan for the last 2 years, often cell phone companies have rolled out entirely new plans, and that's if you want to maintain that contract. I called my cell phone company one day about a year ago, and just by asking them to update my plan so that I have the best and most cost efficient plan, I saved almost $50 a month. Now, Tyron A, you're a little more extreme with the cell phone, and so you like dropped your carrier. You got like you do like month to month type of situations.
I have service with Cricket. I don't know if that's in Atlanta, but it's here, Cricket Wireless. So they're on the AT&T tower. My daughter used to work there, so that's how I ended up leaving AT&T to go to Cricket. So our plan, which is me and her, I pay $30. So that's what I give her every month for the cell phone bill. And some of you are like, $30, you know, well, I have service. I don't have any problems with the service. It works fine. As far as phone, because I know a lot of you like those new fancy $1,000, $1,300 phones, and you know, each its own. But I'm not. I wasn't gonna say that, but I'm not. But you still got a good deal. But but you know, to each its own. But I didn't want to pay $40 a month for a phone. I was not gonna do it, and I told people when my cell phone breaks, I'm going to go buy a phone for like $300-$400, and I'm not going to do a monthly installment. So what I did, I just did it actually last month. My phone actually did not die, but I did kind of check around to see what kind of deals were going on because of Christmas. So I went to Samsung and I bought the Samsung A71, which is a great phone, Galaxy A71. And I think it was $500. They gave me $220 for my iPhone 7 Plus. So basically out the door, I paid $279 for my new phone, which is, it's awesome. It's just as fancy as Sam's Note. You have the Note 20 Ultra.
Galaxy Note 20 Ultra. Yeah.
Yeah, he do everything that his phone do. And it was a lot less, but he still got a good deal. I'm not bashing Sam. He still got he didn't pay that full price for his phone. He still got a deal. But not only that, guys, when I was negotiating with with Samsung, they gave me some Fitbits too. So I got 2 Fitbits too. So I was like,
I think this is good stuff. I think a lot of people need to know the many ways that they can save and have more money coming into their households. If you think about it, many of you remember when you could go and buy a phone on a contract and you didn't pay more than $99, right? Cell phone companies got smart and they said, why are we subsidizing the phones when we can bring more money to us? And so we're going to make them think that they're not signing a contract and all. You still sign a contract, even if you don't. Even if you, like they say they eliminated contracts, it's still a contract. Now you're paying for the full price of the phone. So if they're wise enough to make sure that they bring more money into their pockets, then we have to be wise enough to make sure we're keeping more money in our house from our actual paycheck, and we eliminate unnecessary expenditures, expenses, and bills. My sister says this, and I think this is a big part of moving forward. She says mindset is important. Absolutely. Out of her 20 plus years, well, I don't know what that means because she's definitely almost 40, that she's just now really getting serious about budgeting, because in the past she slacked up or didn't have the mindset to do it. What do you like? I mean, you talked about the thing that clicked for you. You're teaching these kids, you need to get things right. What would you say to folks who need a shift in mindset? Like, what do you say to them?
Well, they got to just get focused. They got to look at what they're earning, what they're spending, what kind of financial goals they have for the future. Because I mean, someone may say, I want to retire at age 40 or age 50, but they're still going out here, getting into debt, doing all this lavish stuff, living this lavish lifestyle. So they got to get serious and they got to get focused and they got to think about their future, set those financial goals, start doing a budget, paying off that debt, because it will definitely change your life and it will definitely change your mindset.
You just mentioned something about lavish lifestyle. And so I want to ask this question. One of our friends kind of sent this question. I'm trying to find the question. Um, Basically, how do you, if you're tackling maintaining a budget and paying off debt, like how do you do that and also live, also enjoy life? I think about you. So you have paid off a house. You're paying off another house. You got this super nice, loaded out, tricked out Malibu. It's not really tricked out. Everything is like stock, but it's like leather, alloy wheels, sunroof, blah blah blah, all of that stuff. And you paid it off, and I feel like you just got it, and it's paid off, like
Three
in
and a
three
half,
years,
3.5 years.
3.5 years. But you also you travel. Like we came home, and we my wife and I came home and we grabbed you, went for a quick getaway. You've come to Atlanta to visit. Like you do things. You still buy things for yourself if you feel like you're gonna find the best deal. Trust me, I know you're gonna make sure it's a deal. But talk to us about balance, about that balance of also doing things when you do want to do them and making sure that you maintain and stick to a budget.
Okay. Well, like Sam said, I'm paying stuff off, and I have gotten really serious, really focused, gotten really gazelle intense, as Dave Ramsey would say. And I just finally said, you know what? I'm paying this off. I'm tired of owing this, that, and the other person. And me and my friend Shamika, that the question that you read earlier, my friend Trina, my friend Tawana, we actually got together and we started having these goals meeting. We started setting these goals to pay off things. And I was looking at my dates one day. I was like, I'm going to pay that off sooner than that. And then I changed that date, moved it up. But I just take all of this extra money from these incomes that I have. I'm not taking them, and I'm not, going on these lavish trips and these lavish vacations. I'm paying off debt. I took my first $1,200 stimulus check and it went to my rental house that I paid off. I will take money from birthdays, from Christmas, from income tax, and I take all of that and I put it towards paying off that debt. And I get excited because I'm seeing my balance go down and I'm getting that much closer to being debt free. And yeah, I like doing things. I like going places, and those things that Sam just mentioned when we went to last Christmas, when I went and hung out with him and Jamie 2 times, which he actually just sprung one on me, but I was able to do that anyway. But those nice small trips I'm able to do because I just put that in my budget as well. Small, we can get away to Atlanta. We can get away to Mississippi or wherever.
Oh, no, you're not going to Cancun?
No, not right now.
Okay.
I'm not taking a big trip like that until I pay off my house. But okay. I just budget for those small vacations. I put them in my monthly budget. I set aside the money for it. If I don't have it, I don't go. But I still do things and I still have fun, but it's at a minimum. Some people may say I'm boring and I don't do this, that, and the other, but that's okay because I got, I'm looking at, my future. I'm looking at, a bigger picture. So I still do little things and I'm happy. I enjoy it. And, but you just have to put those things in your budget.
So there are some things out there that I think people get tied up and connected up with. I've done this. This next question is about payday loans. I remember when I went to college, and as soon as I was in college, I found a full-time job working with the sheriff's department. But at some point, because I was horrible at managing my money, I went and I got a payday loan for the maximum amount. I think it was like $500. And this meant that I was paying, now if I got it at one time and paid it off, it would have been like a $79 fee or $69 fee, something like that. But I kept renewing this payday loan because at the end of the period that I needed it, I was like, I would have had to take that $500 out of my next check and pay. And it was this cycle that I fell into. And so every 2 weeks, I was paying an $80 fee to renew this $500 loan. And so somebody asked a question, how I can't budget because I have a payday loan that I just can't get out of. How do I start?
Well, Sam, one thing I can say is, I feel you. I understand. Because guess what? I had one of those too. Back when I first moved to Pensacola back in what year was that? 2000, I think, when I first moved to Pensacola. I had some car trouble, and I didn't have enough money in savings to fix it. And I can't remember how much it was and what particularly was wrong with the car, but I remember going to a payday loan. Remember exactly where the building was located, and went in there. And just like you said, had to go back and back and back because you have shorted yourself. Now you got to go back to get more money because you shorted yourself the first time. And it's a ridiculous cycle. And then the interest that they charge is crazy. But, you know, they always open those places in the poor neighborhoods and
in the black neighborhoods. I'll say it. You don't got to say it. I'll say it.
And, you know, I don't care for businesses like that at all. But you got to look at those payday loans just like any other debt. Okay, this is a debt. I need to pay it off. So I need to find some extra money. However, from working part-time jobs, working overtime, having a yard sale, using your stimulus money, income tax, gifts, just take that money and just get it paid off, because those things, you know, the fees are just ridiculous. And I think it's highway robbery.
So when we talk about this, a lot of people end up at a payday loan place because the reality is they either likely don't have the credit or have bad or poor credit. And they can't go into a credit union, which is less predatory and is really is established more to help those folks who are members or associated with a credit union. So what do we say to folks about credit? I think one of the questions that we received before we started the live was, do I need to pay someone to help me with my credit repair? And talk to us a little bit about how important it is. Is it important to have credit or to maintain credit? We're not advocating for people to get loans or credit cards, but why is credit important?
Well, of course, if you ever decide to buy a house, you know, you want to have your credit in good standing, so you have a good credit score to purchase your home. Of course, as you pay off your debt, your credit cards, your student loan, your car, whatever loans you may have, that will decrease your debt, which will actually decrease your credit score. Now there may be some mixed thoughts about what I'm about to say. I'm not so concerned about my credit score now because I'm paying off my debt. I don't want to go back and get credit for anything else. And I do have a good credit score, don't get me wrong, but I did notice when I paid my house off, my credit score went down a little bit. But in order for you to have a credit score, you have to have debt. Yeah. And of course, you have to pay your debt and not have, you know, things like credit cards maxed out, so that does increase your score. But of course, if you're going to buy a house, you do want to make sure that you pay your credit on time, so that you do have a high credit score, so that you can get a good interest rate. And Sam mentioned something about credit repair. I'm not a big fan of credit repair businesses because a lot of them are very expensive. I think that you should, if you feel that your credit, something is wrong with your credit report, if there is some inaccuracies, please call those creditors, call TransUnion, call Equifax, or write to them, email them, and let them know that there's a discrepancy and they have 30 days to get that off your credit report. And if you have some things in collections, as we talked about earlier, call those companies. They will more than likely make some type of negotiation with you, or see if you can set up a payment arrangement. So let the credit repair business be your last resort, just because a lot of companies are like the payday lenders. They are not out for your good. They're not going to tell you the best thing to, you know, for your best situation. So just try to let that be your last resort. But if you do decide to go to them, just make sure you do your research.
Each one of the major credit reporting companies have made the process really easy. You can set up an account with them. And through that account, you can access your credit report, and you can dispute through the app, even without ever getting on the phone with them, without ever writing an actual physical letter. If there are discrepancies or inaccurate information on your credit report, you can dispute that by logging in and actually reviewing your credit report, and actually right next to each one of those things, it'll say dispute. Do you want to dispute this? And you can dispute it. By law, credit reporting agencies have to investigate that dispute and verify that information. If that information is inaccurate, it has to come off your credit report. And sometimes it's interesting because I've went through this process, and I had some things removed that were inaccurate. Some of them were inaccurate. They weren't like fraudulent.
Right.
If you follow what I'm saying. So, some of the debt was mine, but some of the stuff in the report was inaccurate. And I disputed the accuracy of the information in the report. And because when they went to verify it, it wasn't accurate, it had to come off. I was grateful that it came off, but it was my debt. Some of that information just wasn't accurate. Like maybe the total amount of the debt or some other information. And if they couldn't verify that piece, that debt had to be removed. So you can do a tremendous amount of good to your credit just by reviewing your report and disputing information that you believe is inaccurate. And so I want you to know that Leslie McCall Brooks just posted freecreditreport.com. This day and age, you should not be paying for your credit report. There are too many ways. If you do have a major credit card, I know we try to stay away from those, but most people you still have one. A lot of those credit card companies include a monthly credit report just by virtue of you having a card with them. Sites like freecreditreport.com also give you, I think, an annual free credit report.
Right, and check it at least yearly.
Yep, check it annually. So give us, as we wrap up, because we're coming close to that time, we already been on 37 minutes. Tyranay, give us any other tips this is one thing. Can you share useful free or low cost budgeting apps or software? Some tools that people might be able to use.
A couple of apps that are free is Mint, M-I-N-T. That is a great app that's free. Good Budget. Also, Pocket Guard. Those are 3 free apps: Mint, Pocket Guard, and Good Budget. Now, a couple of other apps that are not free, they do have a low cost. Everyday Dollar, that's one. And You Need a Budget. Now, those, they do come with a monthly or annual fee, depending on how you want to pay it. But they do have options for a trial period. So you could try it out for so many days to see if you like it. And there's no contract or anything. So, after a month, if you don't like it, even after you pay, you can cancel it. Now, those are all apps that you can download to your phone or your computer. Now, software, if you don't want to do an app, you can certainly do a spreadsheet in either Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets. Google Sheets comes with Google. You just have to have a Gmail, and it's free. And then Microsoft, if you buy the suite, it's not free. But if you go to office.com, you can get Microsoft Excel, PowerPoint, and Word. If you use any of those, you can get it for free, and you can save up to 5 gigabytes to OneDrive for free. It'll be stored to the cloud.
Okay, my sister also said there's a lot of helpful groups on here, Facebook, social media. You can follow accounts on Instagram, follow groups on Facebook, pages that's going to give you great tips as to what steps to take yourself, not just to repair your credit, but for also budgeting, savings, all of those things. Tyranay, I know you are a fan of podcasts. What are some of your favorite podcasts around finances? Do you have any that you can share with us?
Yes. I love Dave Ramsey. I love him because I've been teaching it for so many years, and I love a lot of his strategies, a lot of his techniques. So Dave Ramsey has a podcast. Chris Hogan also does too. He works with Dave Ramsey. He's written a couple books, Everyday Millionaire and Retire Inspired, which is back here on I can actually show you. This one is good. Everyday Millionaires. This is a great book, guys. And I know I'm kind of jumping off topic, but he talks a lot in this book about basically, millionaires don't, spend all this money. They're not living this lavish lifestyle. They drive in regular cars. They wearing regular clothes, shopping at regular stores. That's how they become millionaires. But really good book. And then Retired Inspired also. And then Dave Ramsey's what is it? Total Money Makeover. That's a great book as well. Okay. So those are two that I listen to pretty often.
Awesome. So get those books. Search some of those podcasts. There's tons of other podcasts and Facebook Lives, folks who are doing all types of work around educating us about savings, about budgeting, about managing our finances in ways that's going to position us for success. So I'm going to give you time for a couple of parting words, my dear beloved cousin. So tell us what else you want us to know about budgeting for success. Leave us with some good nuggets.
I was just going to say really quick, guys, just make sure if you budget, when you budget, make sure you're consistent. Make sure that you do it every month or every pay period, depending on how you get paid. Make sure if you're married, you do it with your spouse, because you shouldn't have the husband handling the finances and the wife not knowing what's going on, or vice versa. I've talked to several people that are like, I didn't know this was going on, because they didn't know. So make sure you do this together. Make sure you either write it down on paper or some type of budgeting form, use the app or use the software. There's a lot of free programs out there. So try the free ones first before you use the paid ones. Make sure you are committed. Make sure you stay focused. Just remember, guys, that budgeting will change your mindset, and it will ultimately change your life. And budgeted money will always go farther.
All right. Well, I thank you again, cuz I appreciate the time that you have given to helping us reach some of those goals. We're going to be back here next month, January 18th. That's also a Thursday. At the same time, we're going to be talking about saving for success. We're really going to focus on savings, the many different ways that we can save. There's going to be some overlap with some of the stuff we talked about tonight, but we're going to help you reach some of those financial goals that you've set for this year and years to come. So thank you for your participation. Folks are saying there was some good information. Glad they tuned in. Glad to see my sister here and others. We appreciate you. We love you. We're praying for you. It's always my hope, as I say every day in prayer, that you are blessed. I mean, blessed. Really blessed so much that you wonder, how did I get this blessed? That's our prayer for you. We want to hear your testimonies. We want to hear about what God is doing in your life. Remember, we're broadcasting from Reckless Love Fellowship. This is a new ministry fellowship that God has put on my wife's heart to launch. And so Jamie and I are excited about what God is doing through this work. It's not just about church. We enjoy prayer, we enjoy worship, but we enjoy empowerment as well. And so not only are we talking about finances, but Kenneth Sleets, who has like 8 degrees, everything from law to social work, is also going to be joining us later this month. We're going to be talking about mental health, particularly mental health in African-American men. So if you've got a Black son, a Black husband, a Black father, a Black anybody, you want to tune in for this conversation. It is going to be phenomenal. So we're planning on really ministering to the whole person, mind, body, spirit, finances, everything. We're excited about what God is doing. We want you all to be blessed. We look forward to seeing you later this month, next month, and every day for prayer. We'll see you soon. You all be blessed. Peace out.